strength.
Okay, so I close the question. Sorry, later. I'll close the question with a question. I'll close the forum with a question on innovation, because ArteFino is one of the biggest driving force of innovation in the industry of reviving our local culture, our living traditions, and our crafts. We all talked about sustainability and the different facets of it, the long and wide spectrum of sustainability. And we're here now because all of us here, especially ArteFino as a marketplace, really advocates for transparency. We're here to tell stories of what we go through behind the scenes before the big event, those that you don't see in the glossies, you know, the hard truths of really a strong commitment and desire to make sure that what we enjoy today, our resources today, are something that the future generation is able to benefit from. And so thank you so much to our generous panelists, Tito Mike, Bea, and Tita Debbie, for what an inspiring conversation we've had this afternoon. So I guess we have time to open the floor for our open forum and questions.
I'm going to direct this towards Mike. Yeah, well, because you have a very deep hand in manufacturing and in, as you said, a sustainable supply chain. And I think as every designer here who works with a lot of not contractual work, that's the wrong word, but with makers. You work with makers. And how do you impart to them the importance of accountability in the sense of when you deliver, you are delivering more than this piece of the cloth. You know, like this is important and why is this important?
Clarification, you're dealing with the customer?
No, in dealing with
the weavers?
With the weavers, because my second question is about the customer.
Okay, the weavers, well, I mentioned earlier we learned weaving, so basically we know how to compute. So when we deliver, for example, a batch of raw material for a particular client, we know exactly basically the output already offhand. So they cannot, we're more or less 95% accurate on that side. So, well, I think you really have to know what you're doing and you have to learn basically the process. So it's important, and that's one way that to instill transparency also on the part of the...
Basically, I'm asking, like, how did you basically give it like a corporate culture where you, or company culture where you teach them, and how do you give them respect for their effort and their ability?
Well, as I said, the pricing alone is a big plus because we made an agreement in terms of the price strategy, the structure. And we made sure that they're happy with what was agreed upon. Now, if they need to increase it a bit because they said it's really difficult, and we're open to it. So we're flexible in that sense too.
Okay, since you deal from top to bottom,
yes.
Because my second question is, how do you teach, especially new customers today who are younger, let's say Gen Z and below, who are very much, let's face it, short attention span.
Okay.
You know, they have short attention spans, and handwork to them is like, they really don't care. They think cows come in packages. You know, they don't associate cow in field with cow that they ate. Okay. So they're even much more disconnected from food, and they're much more disconnected to like what's on their backs. And you know, they hear the word slow fashion and they're like, huh? You know, they'll go drop 20,000 in Zara for 50 outfits, but like you tell them it's 20,000 for that shawl, and you get that look, and you want to smack it off them, but you can't. So how do you deal with that?
No, I discuss the price structure, as I said, but more importantly, they need to understand that, you know, there are costs. You're talking about the costs, right?
Yeah. And I'm talking about how like you educate the maker, then you educate the customer. It's a two-pronged problem.
The designers, for example, I bring them to our weaving centers and explain to them the whole weaving process. From there, I'll tell them why we can just give you 2 feet or 5 feet. We need at least 10 to 15. Why? Because when you set it up in the loom, You don't just prepare for this much. Actually, we explain the weaving process to our clients. So they'll have a better understanding. And now they'll also understand the lead times necessary. For me, that gives them also a bit of respect also on the part of why customers need to understand,
Mandy, if I may, I'll add. So with the work we do in Anthill, I think there's accountability in our partners because we stress so much on the value of community entrepreneurship. So from the get-go, the relationship really isn't limited to just a supplier and a business. It really is a partnership, right? So we always stress you have to be accountable and professional in the way you do things because it's your business. It's supposed to be a business. And if they, like what Tita Debbie said, if you are able to pass on the ownership to the community and they're able to see the bigger picture and they have intent to grow their business and grow their skills, then they will really try their very best to be accountable, to experiment on systems that will work for them, and also take care of the partnership we have with them. So I think that relationship building is key because then they also don't want to lose a partner in you. And they also don't want to lose the opportunities that you provide them or that they gain from your partnership. With the consumers or the customers, platforms like this where we're able to talk about why it's expensive, how many trips Bea needs to do in order and how much she needs to risk in order to be able to get those materials done. We use social media and storytelling, the power of storytelling to engage consumers. We are very transparent in terms of pricing, so young customers understand the value of quality-made products and longevity versus disposable clothes. In a lot of Holy Cows items, there are a lot of story tags that are acknowledges the artisans and where it's from and all that. And again, it all boils down to transparency.
And I think it also boils down to proper messaging because sometimes it can be misinterpreted.
That's true.
What you're saying may not necessarily be accepted or, so you have to be clear.
Hi, Januel from ANC and ABS Digital. Now, I was just wondering, since it's about preserving Filipino culture and you've traveled in various parts of the world, I just want to know, can you give us an overview of your experience in terms of how people see the Filipinos or the Philippines, the culture, and our weavers?
Okay, let me answer that. Our first show in furniture was in 1990, and I have always used abaca as the upholstery for my furniture pieces. A lot of people were surprised because abaca seems so flimsy and all of that. And these are buyers who don't even know what abaca. When I exhibit in Milan, for example, they would say, they would ask, what is abaca? And I said, these are the cousins of the banana. And then it amazes them to realize that there is such a plant, a palm, that this is woven like this. And of course, we provide them with photos. These are photos, stills actually, and they become part of our product profile. So when they see the pieces of furniture that we finish, then they turn to the next page. These are the people who harvest the abaca, the people that are weaving the abaca or making them into ropes that we weave on the frames. They see this and they say, what? Too much work, really. So what is beautiful about some of our products, for some of our raw materials, they're only found in the Philippines, like abaca. So how do they see us? They see us as great innovators, actually. Unfortunately, while they admire our products, the Philippines is not really very good in terms of manufacturing because even our utilities are the most expensive in Asia. So we can never compete with, let's not even talk about China. Let's talk about just the other Asian countries. We're just very expensive.
So where would you say our competitiveness is right now? One being the lowest, 10 being the highest, and what are its potentials? And also for Bea, I mean, has it been very difficult or challenging to market a place like Mindanao? And going out, yeah. Can you tell us your experience and the potentials? Of course, I think the insights you see when you go on the ground. Thank you.
I'm very optimistic. Mindanao is one of the richest islands in the world, in terms of resources. And yet there's so much poverty there because, again, geopolitically, there's all sorts of history that comes with warfare, what have you, right? Like all the other historical stuff that happened there. They always ask how I would feel satisfied, how I would feel satisfied with this journey. And I always say that if I've inspired one person to, I guess, change the way they perceive Mindanao, then I would be completely happy with that, right? Funny enough, I had just flown in from out of the country yesterday morning. I'm still confused. Yeah. While I was in the Uber, so the guy asks me, "Where are you from?" Blah, 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 all of that. And I said, "I'm from the Philippines." And then the guy's like, "Why do you live in the Philippines?" He's like, "Why not just live in London? Like, just get a job here," blah, blah, like, that kind of mentality. And I was like, I love the Philippines. I love being a Filipino. The Philippines is a beautiful place. Like, I'll take it with all the things that you hear about the Philippines, traffic, heat, and everything. Like, I'll take it. I love being a Filipino. So that's the position, right? And then you were asking earlier, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, is it?
Yes.
I feel like now is a good time because there's so many brands who are really elevating the quality and the story even of Filipino brands and artisanship and craftsmanship. So I feel like now is a good time to get it out there, right? Because people are more ready to listen to the stories, are more ready to listen to how long this took, and it took this long, or this is why it's expensive or it's pricey. So for me, I think Tita Debbie can answer on a scale of 1 to 10. You think how competitive are we in terms of the global? You're talking about
Yes,
global
and
market?
potential. Because we have so many OFWs who go crazy over our products, bringing it out.
That's true. That's true.
They
And in
sell our
fact-
bayongs overseas, and
True.
it gets that recognition.
True,
It
and they're
doesn't get
very,
here in
very
the country,
proud of
ironically. Yeah.
very proud of Philippine products.